Welcome to LOTC Presents Black Glove Mysteries, where every other Friday we will take you on a journey through Italian cinema, specifically Giallo, but we reserve the right to take other avenues such as poliziesque, spaghetti westerns, Eurocrime, sandal and sword movies. Either way, you will hear and now see us talk Italian cinema. This is episode 440, double 68 if you're keeping count. I'm your host, Greg Mortis, along with Ian Urza. What's going on, Ian?
Hey, how's it going? This was really fun. I had wanted to try to get to some Peplum films for some time, and to be honest, I haven't watched that many myself. But I just figured going through the Mario Bava route was the easiest way to try to broach that subject on the show.
Absolutely. Let the listeners know the terminology peplum. What does that refer to?
So it usually refers to sword and sandal movies. They some of them are more fantasy oriented, some of them are more epic oriented. Like the movies we're watching tonight, I think actually are a good example of the two sides of the pendulum that you can go because Hercules in the Haunted World is much more fantastical, whereas Eric the Conqueror is much more sort of an epic and not as much fantastical.
Agree.
They were there had been many Maciste films. Maciste is sort of a folk hero of sorts in Italy in the silent film era. So they had been around a long time, but they were mainly the rebirth of them in the late 50s was influenced by a lot of the American epics like the Ten Commandments and Ben Hur and Spartacus and some of that. But the Italians actually started making Hercules films, I think, as early as 58. So they
No.
were kind of on it too. Both America and Italy were kind of into it right at the same time. I'm looking here on Wikipedia, there were about 17 Hercules films from what I'm seeing here, maybe more. Um,
Wow.
there was a bunch of Goliath movies, much more Machiste films, like several, like just many of those. The Ursus movies, the Samson series, and those were all made from the late 50s to about 1964. Well, what happens in 1964? Sergio Leone makes a little film called A Fistful of Dollars, and then the spaghetti western kind of takes over from the Peplum film as the dominant genre in Italy from that point on until the Giallo comes along. So I know we talked about this before, but they would always go through these phases where these dominant genres were around. But the first one that I think was really sort of something that came before them, but they made their own was the Peplum film.
Yeah, that's so cool because I mean it puts you in that same universe as you get into like the Ray Harryhausen films, you know, those stop motion animated type flicks and of you get into Sinbads and movies like that. I love those type movies, but my wife, man, holy crap, dude, she is so into the mythology of when you talk about Zeus and Pluto, all these different things. She knows all about. I don't. I don't.
Yeah,
I
there
do.
was a ton of that in
Yeah.
Hercules, and
Uh-huh.
what's interesting is some of the characters they actually gave different things to do. Like Telemachus is a very different character in the Odyssey than he. Not that I know too much about him, but than he is in this, where he's sort of a bumbling fool in this
Yeah.
in this movie, to say the least. So,
So,
but I always find that stuff interesting, and both of these films have that mythology feel. I mean, one of them is about brothers separated at birth coming together on different sides of the war, and then the Hercules in the Haunted World. I think that speaks for itself about how it's mythological. I mean, Hercules is supposed to be the son of Zeus, and he has to go on this sort of adventurous quest to get this stone to rescue to help bring this his girlfriend Dianara out of her like stupor or spell, whatever she's in. So
yeah.
that sort of speaks for itself as a movie that is filled with mythological stuff. So these films always have that angle to them, and it makes them have a much more epic feel. And Bava could capture that really well with his ability to use the camera and little gimmicks and everything like that, which we'll talk about a little bit more in the Hercules film. Not as much in Eric the Conqueror, but especially in Hercules, he does some stuff that you're like, it's almost magical what he can do with the camera.
Yeah, I totally agree. And once again, tonight we are covering two of Mario Bava's films here, and they're both from 1961, Hercules in the Haunted World, as well as Eric the Conqueror. And both of these were first time watches, I think. And I say that because I tend to think that I have seen Hercules in the Haunted World somewhere along the lines, because I do remember a few of the scenes, and then I remember some of Eric the Conqueror too. So I feel like somewhere we have done these. It may have even been on LOTC when we was doing our what was it? I think we were doing something with mythology or something, fantasy or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I feel like we have watched a couple of these. So if I had, I hadn't remembered all of it. There you go. There is the first one. That is actually the one we're going to start out with, listeners. That's the Kino release of Hercules in the Haunted World, aka Hercules at the Center of the Earth, 1961. And I think we'll just jump right into it, Ian, and get right into this Mario Bava classic. Or is it a classic? But at least this Mario Bava 1961 flick. And we'll go to you, Ian, let you give the plot synopsis on this one.
Okay, immediately following the success of Black Sunday, Mario Bava was recruited to direct and photograph the second of Reg Park's Hercules films for producer Achille Piazzi. Freely departing from Roman mythology, the film gave Bava the opportunity to reimagine the sword and sandal genre, on its surface a jovial comedy adventure. Kind of.
Yeah.
Hercules in the Haunted World features a striking use of color, which would become one of Bava's directorial hallmarks. I was mixing up my words there. But with this playful peplum is tinged with a sense of genuine foreboding, voiced by a masked oracle named Medea, played by Gaia Germani, in one of the film's most stunning sequences. When Hercules descends into the depths of hell and confronts Lico, played by Christopher Lee, who has the power to call forth corpses from their tombs, the film plunges into the eye-popping, bone-chilling horror of which Bava had recently become famous. That I agree with a little bit more than
Yeah.
the other one, what they
Yeah.
were saying earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. These are fun. These, just think of Hercules movies. That's what you got here, or you go into Sinbad's or movies like that. First thing that's striking is Hercules, who's played by bodybuilder Reg Park, who, man, he had a physique on him, man. They picked the right person to play Hercules. If you want to see who Hercules is, that would kind of be what I would envision, right? Somebody built like that. And he done a really tremendous job in this. He did all his stunts, it says, because they couldn't find anybody in, as far as in trivia, they couldn't find anybody that body structure to help do these body doubles. So he had to do them, man. But I thought he done great, man. It's
Yeah, and
Hercules.
he looks fairly convincing doing them, I got to say. I mean, you didn't have crazy cinematography back then, so it's not like he had to do some of the stuff I think guys have to do nowadays, but still, he looked fairly convincing doing them. Whereas, like, as much as I hate to admit this, I'll watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies nowadays, and it's a lot of the times it's very obvious when the film cuts to a stuntman for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, you can tell very easily that he's not doing some of the stuff that is on screen, whereas Reg Park, it looks like, is actually doing most of it. And he actually is a much bigger guy than Steve Reeves, who played Hercules in a couple of the movies before this. But Steve Reeves was, I'd say, better looking, objectively better looking than Reg Park is. So it kind of evens out in that way. Reg Park actually invented the 5x5 workout set, like sets and reps, where he did 5 sets, 5 reps. He was the first guy to actually do that and make it more famous. And he apparently inspired Arnold Schwarzenegger to become a bodybuilder. So that's all interesting information. And if you want to hear more too, the Midnight Movie Cowboys, I'll give them a shout out. They covered this movie years ago, probably back in like 2020, and they did a really good episode about this movie and talked about Bava and the Peplum genre as well. So some of the information that I have might be taken from that podcast because they did a fantastic job on it. But I really like this movie for the colors. Like, every single set is just a wonder. And I have some notes too from Tim Lucas's commentary that I thought were interesting. So for that scene in the very beginning where Hercules, throws the wagon at the big sort of loft, it says a wagon was put on wires and swung right into the wood, and that it kind of looks like it too. But there's many moments in this film where there are apparently wires, and to me, you can't see them. They actually did a very good job concealing them. Maybe once or twice I was able to see them, but not very often. So for the poison skies of Icalia, when we see the poison skies, when it's like dark orange and dark blue, I think.
Yep.
Photo. What was that?
It was where it was kind of melting looking
Yeah,
like a lava.
photo clippings were used on glass with paint.
Wow.
And then so they use screen projection and optical effects to create more columns. There's a scene where Hercules first sees Dianara, and there's like 5 columns. There actually weren't 5 columns there, and the columns had to be moved like every single cut. So they would have to move them around because they only had use of so many. Um, the same door was used. That door that kind of vaguely has a swastika design on it
Right.
to say like to name the shape that it kind of looks like. I know that that's probably not the best way to say it, but it kind of did look like one. It had that door was reused like for so many different sequences, so they had to reuse a bunch of stuff. Um, One thing that I found interesting that he said, that Tim Lucas said, was like the scene where Theseus and Hercules first wake up after being capsized on the boat, and there's like all these rainbow colors everywhere. Tim Lucas said when he saw this movie in 35 millimeter, he said like the colors looked so good that they looked like they could burn your skin. That's what he said. Um, and then there's that scene with Reg Park on the tree. The branch is right in the foreground in front, and Reg Park is on the trunk in the background, like in this little tiny thing in the background, to make it look like he's really on this big, huge tree, but it's not. So, and then the scene where they're staring, when they're looking at the stone was actually a table scale model, and the lava or whatever it's supposed to be around it was actually corn mush and a big frying pan with the little model right in the middle. So I'm just looking at stuff I put in bold. Face reflected in blood, which you see at the end of the movie. Christopher Lee's face was reflected in blood. That had never been done in a movie before, apparently. At least not notably. I don't know if Tim Lucas, he said it had never been done. I don't know if he was exaggerating or if he was actually being truthful about that. He did say it was kind of a similar shot to the end of Deep Red, which I agree. So those were some of the notes I found interesting. Just little things Baba did on a somewhat meager budget to make this film feel, epic and magical. And nowadays you could accomplish that with, CGI and probably a bigger, like you would have to spend way more money on it now because of that. Whereas back then he could just do, he could put 2 popsicle sticks together to create something that looked interesting in a film.
Yeah, there's so many of that. That's so cool, man, because the coloring in this one is amazing. Like it is really a strikingly beautiful film, and it does look very epic. So I think they definitely nailed that. I love the scene with the tree. I thought that was really awesome. And seeing what you're saying, I guess if I go back and look at it, I could probably tell maybe if I looked a little harder. But to me, man, it was pretty flawless, man. I loved how they pulled that off. And I love the scene where they're going across the fire, because they're in Hades and they're doing the rope, to go across. And when he's doing that and you got the lava below him, I did. I thought that was all just so cool, man. It's such a great moment. So many of those in this movie, man. I just thought that they really done such a good job. But I think one of my favorite parts of this movie was when he went to the Oracle a couple times. The Oracle Medea, played by Gaia Germani. I thought she was amazing, man. She had this mask, like this white kabuki type mask on, and she's doing all these. She's talking and she's doing her hands, and it's almost like haunting, transpiring. I don't know what you want to call it. Almost belly dancing type maneuvers, and it was very cool. It was very striking, and watching those scenes were awesome. Christopher Lee, being Christopher Lee, was great, and even though his character wasn't necessarily the big moment, you know what I mean? He had his moments, but it wasn't like he was the movie. I thought when he was on screen,
And his voice was dubbed too. That
wow,
doesn't help. And he got first refusal after this to not have that happen. I don't know if he dubs his voice in The Whip and the Body either. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know for sure. He got first refusal after this to be able to dub his own voice. So
yeah,
that's something that came out of this. For scenes where him and Reg Park are close together, they had Reg Park standing on like apple boxes
yeah,
to match his height because Reg Park is 6'1" and Christopher Lee is like 6'5" or 6'6",
yeah.
depending on the source. So, in order to convey that they had the same height, Reg Park was standing on certain boxes in certain scenes.
Yeah, Pearl was talking about she got a kick out of Christopher Lee's haircut in this one. I thought,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's toupee or what they were doing with Chris Lee, but it was funny. What do you think of Theseus? I love Theseus, which ended up being his sidekick, or not sidekick, but I guess his partner. That was he was a true he was a ladies' man for one thing. You could tell that, but he could fight, dude. He needed that guy with him, and I like Theseus, man. I thought he done great.
Well, in that scene in the loft in the beginning, he's doing all this acrobatic stuff, and Duccio Tessari helped write this movie. Tim Lucas had talked about how the character of Theseus seems like something out of Duccio Tessari's films. He reminds you a lot of like Giuliano Gemma in A Pistol for Ringo with his sort of acrobatics and his attitude and his sort of pretty boy charisma that he has. He reminds you of a Duccio Tessari creation, which it seems exactly what he is in this film. Just that initial scene in the loft where he swings from that overhead, almost looks like a pull up, thing. And he swings from that, just kicks two guys, and you
Yeah.
have the really good wide shots kind of combined with close ups where you can see both sort of parts of the loft where he's fighting. I thought that was really cool. I mean, I don't know what else to call that thing but a loft, an old version of a loft, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that I thought, I like Theseus as well. Telemachus comes in as sort of the comic relief in multiple points of this movie, as sort of the bumbling idiot who goes along with them for their quest for whatever reason. He apparently has a relationship with a guy who can get them the boat, although we find out that he doesn't, and he gets strung up by him, and then Hercules and Theseus have to rescue him. So, yeah.
That was a great scene too because you show it because he had told Hercules like I know this guy, he's got this magical ship, no worries, no problem. Next scene, like you said, he's got his arms strapped and legs strapped to four horses and they're getting ready to sprint him. And I was like, dude, you don't know him too well. But
Apparently not.
yeah, I loved
Then
his.
you have multiple times where Theseus basically just cucks him and takes his girlfriend away. It takes Giacosta away from him. Um,
He took his fiance, and then at the end of the movie, he takes his other woman because he comes in here bragging about, oh, look at my lady right here, and then
well, it's
he's
the same woman, isn't it? I think it's the same woman.
was it the same woman? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think it's Giacosta in both
Then he just
cases.
sweeps in and takes her. It's
I
like,
don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
poor guy.
um, yeah, well, because he didn't remember Giacosta this next time he sees her. I don't think Theseus
Drew, Drew.
did. So, uh, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused. But either way, you have Ida Gali showing up as Persephone in the English dub, which I think it's for me. It's easier to call her Persephone than whatever the hell her name is in the Italian dub. Mia
Prototype.
Zotide, something like that. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and she shows up because she is apparently kept in Hades. They basically call Hell Hades, but they call Hades Pluto for some reason.
I didn't know.
Um, I don't know why. But anyway, she's there because she's Pluto's daughter, and basically Theseus decides to kind of rescue her, although maybe not. She's kind of coming along of her own free will, it seems like. And then basically because of that, Pluto gets angry, so he's bringing down wrath upon Akalia, just like Liko was doing earlier. And Theseus and Hercules get into a fight over her because at that point Theseus is kind of under a spell, and the Oracle tells Hercules that he has to separate the two to bring better fortune to Ikalia, I think is how it goes.
Yeah.
And then along the way, there's a quest where they have to get this golden apple in order to get the stone, which starts Hercules' uses of rocks in this movie, where he just throws rocks everywhere. Does that several times. He does that to get the apple.
Yeah.
He does that to create, I think the rope that they can traverse to get to the stone.
Yep.
Then at the end of the movie, he does it to the zombies and to Liko. He just throws rocks on everybody. So one of the things about this movie too is I think it might actually appeal to kids a lot.
Totally.
If you're like a 7 to 9 year old kid, or if you're out there and you have a kid who's like 7 to 9 years old, I mean, this movie's not overly violent. I think probably the bloodiest moment is the one part where the woman that Dianara is with gets killed and there's like blood on the ground. That's probably the most violent image of the movie. There's no nudity. I mean, yes, there's women who look good in whatever clothing they're wearing, but there's nothing like that in this movie. I think probably they made this movie for kids in the early 60s and they said, well, we got to get the dads into the theater. So let's get some good looking women wearing some kind of not necessarily revealing outfit, but get them to look really good in whatever fashion they're in. to bring the dads into the theater. So
Yeah, I mean that's true, and I got to say, like you're right, man. I think this definitely hits in that whole safe zone of Sinbad's and Ray Harryhausen films and stuff like that. You could definitely bunch these in there and have a good time. So I totally agree with you, man. I think the younger kids, if you do have those, I 100% agree with Ian, man. It's a big cool little start into these type films, and it has enough action for the adults to watch as well. So uh, Rosabella Nera is in this one. Even
well, apparently she was credited, but she's not actually in the film.
it's not
She's
hilarious.
either in the film for a very brief second, or she's not in it at all because she's supposedly playing. There's one point when there's a character named Helena who you see for a brief second, but you barely even see her face. Then she supposedly may have played. Well, actually, she didn't. Supposedly, a relative of hers, her sister or something, played the part of remember the part when they're going through Hades and they see that woman who ends up lighting on fire.
Yeah.
That's supposedly her sister or something like that, and she was already under contract, was supposed to appear in the film, and got ill the day she was supposed to film or something, so she still got a credit for whatever reason, but she's not actually in the film. It's
Oh,
interesting.
I could have swore there was a scene where there was a bunch of women, like there was a few women together, and I thought I saw her over there, but I could have been wrong.
No, the one playing the leader of the I can't remember what their name is, but the group of women, it was Marissa Belly playing Aridissa.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
I
I
got you.
can't remember the name of the women are supposed to be. Again, mythological name. It starts with a P. I can't remember, but
I'm not good
some
at mythology. I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm not.
some of the names were like, oh my gosh, I can't remember this, but um, yeah, it does have a lot of that mythology in it. Like if you're interested in that sort of thing and just its interpretation of the mythology, that might be something more interesting for certain people who are appreciative of that.
Yeah, there's some cool fight sequences in this and some action. So there is some of that adventure and some scenes that I think they did well with. I really enjoyed that. I thought the musical score in this one was really, really good.
Yeah, Armando Travoli, I think.
Yes, man, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I think I like Eric the Conqueror a little bit better on the score, but still, I really enjoyed this one, man. I just really had a lot of good time. And once again, we've talked about the cinematography, but man, nothing could be mentioned more than the cinematography is just outstanding in this movie. Some really cool shot sequences in this one, for sure. And what else you got on as far as like if we watch this movie, we have the scenes where Christopher Lee's character King Liko, where he toward the end of this movie, where he's got to basically he's being told by his person, by the what would you call it? I don't want to
The
call it.
Greek underworld, or Tim Lucas just calls him literally a devil worshiper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's telling
Um,
if you do this, if you're able to take Diana and you're able to kill her, then you will become king. You will be eternally king and all
Take
this.
her blood, I think more specifically. Yeah.
So, that's what he seeks out to do. And he does it in a conniving way because him and Hercules has this little thing and Hercules trusts him and then boom, what happens? Dude, I thoroughly enjoyed this. And I love the scenes when they're going to Hades. I thought that was really, really cool, man. Especially the way that he gets Theseus at first and asks him, he says, we got to go. And Theseus is making out with the girl, he's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, boom. He just jumps up. I'm ready to go. It's an adventure. Let's go. Until he says Hades. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. Nobody
There's
comes.
a lot of really sappy romance in this, I got to say. Like the guys saying, I would do anything for you, that kind of thing. And you're like my dream girl. And like life isn't worth living without you. There's a lot of lines like that from both Theseus and Hercules to their women. There's a lot of that in this too.
Well, the fact that Theseus fell in love with the girl from Pluto, he falls in love with her.
Well, yeah, I think she's supposed to be a supernatural being, though. I don't
It's
think she's
definitely,
supposed to
yeah,
be human.
almost like a siren, I guess, or something.
Yeah, a little bit, although she never swings that way though. She's conveyed as a good person who maybe knows what she's doing to Theseus, but then reneges on it as soon as she figures out, well, this is gonna split him and Hercules up, and like Ikalia or whatever is going to go through something really bad if I don't back off, basically. So I think she has enough of a conscience to see what's going on. I mean, maybe the film doesn't really outline her motivations particularly well. Doesn't necessarily have to either, but
I mean, I think they handled it well. I mean, and then
yeah.
she disappears into the nether or goes back home or whatever. And she's able to, of course, let Theseus forget about her. So I thought that was kind of cool too. But now this is fun, man. This is definitely a fun watch. This is a movie that I'd put in on a Sunday and when there's nothing going on, and I would just chill and maybe put this on and Sinbad and all these other movies. I would totally do that, man. This is definitely a fun watch, for sure. What else you got on this one as far as anything on the dubbing corner?
I think I only have one of note for this. I think I've heard some of these voices before, but I'm not sure if I could put a name to any of them besides one Tim Lucas said, which is I think Dan Sturkey is dubbing Reg Park as Hercules in the American cut. That might be the only one. I don't know who's dubbing Christopher Lee, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, that'd probably be hard to find out too, honestly. So let's see. Actors wise, George Artisan, who plays Theseus, I thought he done really good, and he lived. I think he was 82 when he died. He died in 2014. I want to say, yeah, 82 years old, which is a nice right age. And even Reg Parker, man, Reg Parker lived to be 76. I think it was 76,
Yeah, and for a bodybuilder, that's actually a fairly long life. They don't always live
70.
forever.
Yeah, 79. And I'm imagining, I'm not going to say he was on steroids, but that was of that era before it became illegal and before anybody knew what all these things were. Who knows? I'm not saying he was on anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
I guess it depends, like, because I don't know if they had those back in the 50s yet. I think that may have been slightly after that where people were doing them more. But I'm not sure. Maybe he was. I don't know. He won Mr. Olympia in like 51, 58, and then sometime again after this movie, he won it again. So,
I think it
um,
was 68. I think it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty sporadic,
Yes.
actually.
65. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, great physique, great
Yeah.
physique. And I'm going to tell you, like, when you see these bigger guys, he's actually not that bad of an actor in this movie. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen him in anything else to my knowledge, but I know he did do some other roles. But in this movie, I thought he was serviceable. I thought he done really, serviceable as an actor for a Hercules. You don't have to be no theologian or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So, for what he needed to be, he done great.
When I was a kid, if I had been a kid too, the part when they see that giant monster that looks like a tree, that would have been something that I would have loved as a kid.
I would have too.
Um,
Like that fit
yeah.
Monsters on the Mantle over on Jay the Dead's new horror movies, Monsters on the Mantle segment. I do. It's just this real weird looking tree that ends up being stone. It's not even really like a wood tree, it's more like stone. I thought it was kind of funny when it first come out with his mouth moving up and down. I'm like, what is this? But that's all right. Hey, it breaks a sword if you try to hit it. Theseus couldn't do anything with it. But no, man, this is fun. This is funny, and I thought cinematography great, music great, colors is phenomenal in this movie. Man, it looks gorgeous. And this one was written. What did we say it was? A screenplay by, of course, story by Mario, but Sandro Cantanzina, and what we got, Franco Prosperia, and Duccio Tessari, and of course,
Yep.
Baba. What else you got on this one, bro?
Joe D'Amato was on the camera crew.
Really?
Yes.
We love us some Joe D'Amato over here at LOT.
Yeah. Um, for our Hall of Famer, we got Ida Gali. We'll talk about George Artisan in the next movie. So he is an all-star officially just for appearing in both of these films. So is Franco Diagini, who plays Telemachus in this film. Is it Franco Diagini? Maybe I'm getting his name wrong. Franco Giacobini.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah.
But Ida Gali, Hall of Famer for being in, or actually all-time great for being in The Psychic, Footprints on the Moon, Case of the Scorpion's Tail, The Bloodstained Butterfly, and Knife of Ice, and Hercules in the Haunted World.
She gets the hand clap, and she's not necessarily a back actress either. She's sometimes up in the front.
Usually a star, not always first build, but usually second or third most of the time.
Right. Well, congratulations to these actor and actresses for being in our Hall of Fame and All Star leagues. Man, I love it, Ian. I love it. Let's see here. Critical reception on this one was Golden Globe had said it's particularly awful Italian movie, specifying that Reg Parker's acting in the film plays havoc with the mythology. I don't know about all that. And they said they described it as corny, almost beyond belief, the English dub. Man, that's what we love about English dub films most of the time. It is how goofy they can be, man.
Yeah, I will say I do want to watch the other versions of this film. Like I have the on the Blu-ray the Italian version's on there and the British version is on there. So I'm curious to see the differences, but I do want to watch them at some point just to see what the differences are. I mean, I got a little glimpse of the Italian dub during Tim Luke's commentary as well, and I thought it was pretty good. It does make the film feel slightly different and a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I found I think this one was on YouTube, and this one,
There's a ton of YouTube prints for it too. Like it's been uploaded on there tons
it's
of
like an
times.
hour and 21 minute or something, and then there's one that's like a hour and 34 minutes or something like that. So I don't know if that's the Italian cut, if it's a little bit longer than the English cut. I don't know. Probably should have looked into that a little better. Sorry. Wah, wah. But an hour and 33 is what they have it on IMDb. This was distributed by, I cannot pronounce it, but we'll call it Warner Brothers. But I love that you have the Kino, man. I would totally put this in my collection. I would definitely have it up there.
Maybe still out there. I don't know. Some of those kinos are a little hit or miss nowadays if they're still around, but this one might still be around.
It might be. If it is, I might try to get it later on down the road. Put it up here with my Bava collection going on right here in front of me. So we'll see what happens on that in the future. But you ready for ratings on this one, my friend?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's pass it around. This is the first time viewing for me, Ian. So for me, I'm gonna give Hercules in the Haunted World a 7.5. And that's just because it's first time viewing. It's fun watch. I would definitely love to watch this one again. But where you come in for this one?
I'm giving it an 8. I gave it a 7 the first time I watched it, so it went up for me a little bit just because I think it's just something. It really is something to behold what he's able to do with all these colors and all these optical effects and everything he does to make the film look the way it does.
Agree. Agree. Well, it's Hercules in the Haunted World, aka Hercules at the Center of the Earth. Check them out. They're available on YouTube for free to watch. So there you go. And next up, then we're going to go still in the same year, 1961, and we're going to Eric the Conqueror, aka the Invaders. Ian, what you got on a plot synopsis for this one?
I just have something brief because I don't have the Arrow Video Blu-ray of this. Unfortunately, I might get it at some point, but I'm just using an IMDb synopsis. In the ninth century, two Viking children separated since their early childhood, with one being raised by the British and the other by the Vikings, meet after nearly 20 years as rivals when war breaks out between Britain and the Vikings for control of England.
Dun dun. Instantly on this one, man, there's a lot of gore in this one. This has got
Yeah, this is
real.
a more violent movie than the other one is.
Man, when you see one of the opening sequences, not just talking about the body that's laying, but when you see that one first scene with the spear going through the baby and the woman,
Yeah,
dude, I'm like, okay, we're into this movie. Like, bro, they're not holding back. And they don't in this one. This
yeah, and then the dad getting a bunch of arrows through his chest and everything like that. Yeah, they don't hold as much back on this one.
absolutely not. And I was all for it. I was like, dude, totally different feel from this one than what we got in Hercules. Hercules, like you had mentioned, I'd mentioned, definitely 7, 8, 9 year old kids could watch that. You don't want little kids watching this movie. This has got
No, I would agree.
a little more to it. But here it is. I mean, I think the main thing we got to mention right off the bat on this one, Ian, is the cast because we have the great Cameron Mitchell in this movie who
Yeah,
I thought he was really, I won't say great, but I enjoyed him as Aaron. So you got Aaron and you got Eric or Aaron, how you want to say it, Aaron and Eric. They're brothers and they're separated at a young age when these group comes in to attack and they end up trying to escape. And while they're escaping, their uncle is killed by spear or by arrow, and they're separated. And one is took to the Britain side, and another one is in Scandinavia or somewhere. Anyways, they're separated, and they don't know who each other are anymore. So one's raised to be the Baron, and one is used as the kind of the leader of the Vikings, and they're attacking each other. I love the premise of it. I love the separation side of things. And I thought Cameron done really well. He's ruthless, but as a Viking, and as what he's trying to accomplish by going in and upheaving government and whatever else, he does a great job of being believed as a ruler type guy.
Yeah, I thought that it was interesting early on to see how, like, because I remembered the premise of this movie, but I'm like, okay, how do they get separated? Okay, one of them gets left in the water while the other one gets dragged away. You know, Rutford, what a villain this guy is.
Is
Really slimy guy who like caters to whatever side is gonna help him throughout the whole film until he finally gets blown up at the end. But it's I like him as a villain because he feels like the proper villain for one of these epic films.
Agree. Yeah, he is ruthless in this movie, man, and his demise at the end of this movie was poetic. I loved it. But in this one, we got, like I said, we got a lot of fight sequences. There's a lot of sword fighting in this one. There's these henchmen that are able to use bow and arrow that are just phenomenal, and that plays out in the end of this movie so well with the castle. Trying to climb the walls with arrows. I thought it was pretty unique when when Eric's trying to climb that scale.
Yeah, they're shooting the arrows. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, or Aaron, not Eric. I thought
Eric. It was Eric.
it
Yeah.
was. I thought it was cool. So he's basically trying to scale this wall on the side of a ocean cliff, and the guys are shooting arrows. And every time they'd shoot an arrow, he'd put his hand, they'd shoot an arrow, and he'd grab it, shoot an arrow. I was like, dude, these guys are just they're dead on, man. Like you would want them on your side, not against you for sure. But this one, man, I enjoyed the cast. You have two twin women, one a princess, and one ends up being a lover of one of the brothers. It's so cool how that played out, Ian, with two brothers that don't know each other now, vying for the twins. I thought it that was perfect, dude. I love that.
Well, yeah, and I like that. I like that the twins sort of have their own autonomy in this movie a little bit. Like they have conversations about what's going on with each other. I mean, they don't pass what people call the Bechdel test because they're still talking about a man.
Yeah.
But still, it's kind of interesting to see them have their own conversations about what's going on. Like when Rama is talking to Dai about how, oh, I know you love Aaron, but you shouldn't be with him because you're supposed to be a virgin and whatever. The Vestal virgin, I think is what they call it. Um, so that stuff I thought was interesting. I do like the low scale action scenes a little bit more than the bigger battles in this. I think the bigger battle, like especially the one on the boat, is very chaotic. It's hard to really know anything that is going on, to be honest, in that scene, hard to follow. But the two battle scenes where it's just one on one, I thought were really good. The fight where Aaron is fighting Garion at the beginning, which is a fight you need just to prove what he's capable of, because Garion seems like a much bigger guy, much more imposing. And then they both have to make their own weapons. This is after they take a vote by people throwing axes into both of these targets, and then basically the vote it comes dead even to the same amount of axes, so they have to fight it out. And what happens is Aaron takes this weapon that's much lighter, whereas Garion has a much heavier weapon, and I think he's able to outmaneuver him because of that. Gets him to yield, and everyone says you should kill him, and he's like, no, 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 I want this guy on my side. So we get an example of what Aaron's character is like early on, though he's also driven by vengeance, sort of misconstrued vengeance. He's after the wrong side and after the wrong person for sure. He should be after Rutford when he's not early on. And then you have everything with Eric, where he's appointed the leader of the forces, and Rutford is basically has an agent on the ship, which is the same guy from early on. Which I got to say, one really funny moment early on in this is when I think when King what's his name, King something with an L, not Leo but something like that, King Loader
Yeah.
shows up, played by Franco Rossell from Blood and Black Lace as well. Um, Basically, the assassin shoots him with this arrow, and he's not even that far away, and no one sees him do it. And then they're like, and he's like, he tries to pretend that it's this Viking whose dead body's right there. He's like, oh, it was this guy. And I thought, what is this? How does nobody see this?
Right.
Like the guy's not, the guy's not a sniper. He's not that far away where no one could have seen this happen.
I know.
But I thought that that was really funny. It was like something out of an SNL skit or something. Um, and then, yeah, the battle between Eric and Aaron when they fight was really cool because it kept de escalating. They have weapons, then they're man on man vertical standing up, and then they go to the ground and grapple. So I thought it was cool how the fight kept de escalating until finally the reveal happens where he sees the tattoo and he's like, oh, you're my brother.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that
yeah.
was, I love the scene where Aaron tries to jump over the cliff. And I thought, what is he doing? He just does this full cliff jump, man. And then you realize, oh, there's a lower section. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought they just dove. I was like, dude, he's after him, man. No, I totally agree with you. I love the dynamic of that fight, man. That was really cool. A lot of good sword fighting. So this one has all that. This one definitely has some really good hand-on combat sequences in it. I think the overall feel because of the Viking lore I thought was kind of fun in this one, and then we see a Viking send off at the end. If you know anything about that, they kind of did that sequence in here toward the end of the movie, even though we didn't see the full wrath of what happens at the end of that. We know what happened with two characters. But I just really, really, really enjoyed this film, man. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the musical score by Roberto Nicolesi, I thought was tremendous, man. It just really kept this movie going. It was a good pace, and I just really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed that. And the cinematography, man, really good in this one, Ian.
I love the layer where they, where the Vikings are, where it's like, you get the purple and the green color or something that's above a staple.
Mhm.
You get that, all throughout in those scenes, and even the battle scenes in the water. You get the fog machine and everything like that too, and the fire. I think that it's really well. It's not quite as spectacular as Hercules in the Haunted World is, but it's every bit as well done with the colors and the cinematography.
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. So actor wise in this one, looking at the cast, you got Cameron Mitchell once again playing Aaron. You got George Artison back as Eric. You got Alice Kessler playing Rama. Alice Kessler, and then you have the two twin girls who was
Alice Kessler is one of them, isn't she? And then there's another one, I think.
Yeah, Alice and Ellen Kessler. So you got Rama and Daya.
I'm
So
surprised that they weren't the same person, truth be told. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay, that's actually cool that they got actual twins and not just one person. I mean, I don't remember if they had the technology back then to separate shots because they're in the same shot sometimes. They didn't pull an Army Hammer in Social Network where it was just him playing the two twins.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Andre Chechi, who played, or I think it's Ketchy, plays Sir Rufford, the horrible. I'll call him the horrible jerk off.
Yeah, but I kind of like his character within the story though. His character fits the story for like an epic, almost Shakespearean kind of story. That's why I kind of like him.
You need an ultimate villain, and you
Yeah.
that one guy, and he played that. Who else we got in here? King Olaf, played by Jean-Jacques Delbo at the beginning, and King Harald, Folko Lully. So there's some of your cast. Francois Christophe plays Queen Alice. Cast was good, and you got a lot of people in this movie, man. There's a scene where the armies show up, and you got all these different armies pulling up, and I thought, man, they definitely had a large cast in this one, so it was definitely an epic adventure, and just it rolls really well. I like the gore in these scenes, man. I really like seeing
Yeah.
the bow and arrow stuff. I like seeing how when they're getting shot. There's a scene where was this the one where the guy got the spears in both sides, like
Yeah.
both sides? I thought that was awesome, dude.
Well,
Freaking,
no. That was in Hercules,
that's what I
actually.
thought it was. That was Hercules
Yeah.
trying to grab the.
Yeah. It was so I forgot to mention Ralph Baldessari in the last movie because he's also in this. He plays the assassin in this. But in the last movie, he was at the very beginning, there's these people who go to Hercules' village to attack him. Liko asks them to do it. They don't know Hercules is the one who's there, so they ultimately run away. Then he goes back to Liko asking for money, and Liko, gets him in this trap where he goes, he's like, oh, go over there and grab this thing. And of
Yeah.
course, he gets speared from both sides. So Ralph Baldessari, an all-star for being in both of these films. Cameron Mitchell, now an All Star for being in Blood and Black Lace. Franco Rossell, also an All Star for being in Blood and Black Lace as well.
I love it. I love it. And Cameron once again doing it good. He was a very young Cameron Mitchell in this one, buddy.
Well, he was 43, but that just tells you he had been around for a little while already.
Absolutely. And I thought the only thing that kind of little questionable was when they were in the water, they were probably 10ish, and then they were supposedly 20 years later in the movie. And I was like, man, it's 30. They aged really hard. But I guess in that time, I mean, the battles and the stuff, I guess you would be kind of aged a little differently. But no, this is a fun movie, and I thought it's just very enjoyable. What do you got on dubbing corner on this one?
I don't have anything for this one either. Again, very sort of older crew that I don't really know. I don't really know the voices as well as I do sort of the 70s crew. So I'm
Yeah,
not as familiar with this crew, I guess, from back then. I mean,
or kind of
maybe I
how
recognize some of them, but it's just it's a little bit different. I'm sure maybe if I watch more of these movies and did a little more research, I could figure it out. Maybe some of the names, but I don't have any for this one.
okay. What else you got on this one you want to talk about?
Nothing that I can think of really. I mean, I thought in terms of comparing it to Hercules, I thought the costuming was different. I enjoyed seeing the guys with the spears and the bow and arrows and the shields and everything like that. I thought it was pretty fun for that reason. I mean, I liked that it was more of a sword and sandal movie compared to a fantasy movie, and I thought we did a good job selecting two films that are on both ends of the spectrum of the genre.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, tremendous job on that because it is two totally different, but still in the same realm. Two totally different films from Bava, man. So this has actually been really fun because typically with Bava we've seen the Jallos and stuff like that, but going back and seeing that this is kind of where he got his start. Being outside of the world of Jallo and different things like that, we get him in these sand and sword and sandalstone type flicks. Man, I thought he great job, dude,
He
man.
was adept at other genres. I mean, you think about the horror movies he made. He did some exorcism type films, some supernatural type films, at least in the devil and everything like that. He didn't always do slasher films or giallo films. He was very versatile with what he did.
Yeah.
He did Shock, which is more of a psychological thriller towards the end of his career. So he was adept at doing different types of things. Within his movies. The only genre that he didn't do particularly well with was the spaghetti western, because I've seen Roy Colt and Winchester Jack, and that is not a particularly good movie. It's a fairly dull and unimpressive spaghetti western compared to many of the others I have seen. So that is kind of a stay away if you're looking at experimenting with Bava and other genres. But for the most part, he did make different types of films, and he should be commended for that.
Yeah, looking at the Scream Factory box set they came out with, so you got Black Sunday, you got The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Black Sabbath, Kill Baby Kill, just there alone. I mean, you got Gothic, you got Giallo, you got some different things going on. Knives of the Avengers, I've not seen. The
Yeah,
Five,
I can't comment on that one either. I really don't know much about it, truth be told.
and then there's that Roy Colton Winchester Jack.
Yeah, that I like I said, not a fan. If there are people who are a fan of it out there, I mean, good on you, because I really did not see much of an appeal with that film. It wasn't like the worst thing I had ever seen, but as far as spaghetti westerns go, it is pretty dull.
All right. Well, this one, once again, is called The Invaders, aka Eric the Conqueror, Viking.
It should be noted too. I think this is a remake of a film called The Vikings with Tony Curtis and Kirk Douglas, which has a similar premise.
Yeah, and I would love to go back and watch that one too, to be
I
honest.
would, yeah.
I would totally check that out. But this is a fun watch, man. So, what you got on a rating for this one, Ian?
You know what? I'm actually going to up it slightly. I'm going to go with a 7.5. I was originally going with a seven, but just talking about it and thinking about the scenes again, I'm actually going to go with a 7.5.
And I'm an 8, so we flipped on both these movies.
Oh, okay.
I actually enjoyed this one a little more than Hercules, man. I think it's because of the fights, man. I love the bow and arrows
I
and
think the spectacle in Hercules is just a little overpowering for me, but this one definitely, I think, had sort of the more grand scale with the action, and it wasn't as fantastical. So, to each their own, really.
yeah, this one you can watch on Tubi, so it's available out there as well for free. So both these films you can watch for free streaming if you don't own them. So I'm
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube so I could watch the English version because there is the English version on YouTube.
Nice. You can watch both of these now. I did not realize that too, by the way. I watched the Italian. So, but man, I'm gonna recommend both of these be a viewing. I think you should both, everyone should check out both of these and get into those. So coming up, Ian, on the next episode of Black Glove Mysteries, what do we got, my friend?
So we're actually going back to the Giallo for one of these movies. We are once again doing a Mario Bava double feature. So this is one of them we're doing. Yeah, there
Yeah,
we go.
the Mario Bava Bay of Blood. There you go.
Yeah, and
I
this
was
is, I
much
think,
better
a
on.
movie we've been wanting to do for a long time, really, and a movie that's been, that's been on, that's been coming down for a long time of the film we should probably do on the show.
Oh yeah,
And then the other one, which I don't believe is in the set, actually.
it's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
I have the Kino version of it. So this
Yes,
is
same.
Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires.
Planet
Nice.
of the Vampires Kino Collection. Cannot wait, man. This one looking like the audio commentary.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got commentary by Tim Lucas on there, which is all you need.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So I'm totally down with that. This set of let me see the commentary. Yeah, I don't know who the commentary is on this one, on the other one. So it's in that new Stream Factory set. So I'm not really, I'm gonna check it out. We'll see what it looks like, but not impressed with this Stream Factory Mario Bava set. So if you're out there and you're like, man, I want to get this new Stream Factory Mario Bava collection they got out, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you avoid it, man. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
and I don't have any plans on buying it at the moment either. I mean, my plan maybe is if they put some individual of these movies out, I'll get them, but I'm probably not going to get the set. I really don't have a need to. I mean, they didn't pour over the Tim Lucas stuff for any of it, and they didn't. I don't think they were just so hit or miss with the special features. Like I might buy the Black Sunday one just so I can get those commentaries for Black Sunday because they have they did go more all out with that one. That was one of the notable ones they did a better job with, but still they rip people off by announcing a 4K right after they put the thing in the damn set.
That's right. It's crazy. So you can go back a couple episodes ago on the YouTube here, and you can watch my unboxing of the Mario Bava and see. I go over all features that are in each one of those, and there's not many. There's only a couple of the releases that actually has some features. So you can go back and watch that and see what we're talking about. But uh,
We'll
what's
say shout out to who's that woman from Bloody Disgusting, I think, who got on a lot of the commentaries.
oh, that's this one. That's at is that the Navario?
Yeah, Megan Navarro.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her. Good for her, honestly.
No. So we'll give her a clap. We'll give her.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that. I'll try to listen to that before we get to the next episode. She's on the Bay of Blood one. So that said, man, that is the episode. I hope you have enjoyed this. Once again, Eric the Conqueror, as well as Hercules, for the Haunted World, and Fun Watches. Definitely check them out. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button up here. Would love to have you do that. Also, be able to check us out over on audio podcast form. So if you just want to hear the audio version, check us out at landthecreeps.blogspot.com. Follow us on all podcast platforms. We would love that. And Ian, we'll head over to you. What do you got in closing for this episode?
So you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, all under the same name as Urzanomics. You can find me on Facebook and Letterboxd if you just search my name.
Nice. And you can follow us, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere. Just look up Greg and Mortis. You'll find me somewhere out there. We're going to appreciate you. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and we're going to see you on the flip side. How do we always like to end this show?
Get your jolly on.
That's right. That's you, Kyle Bishop. We love you guys. We're going to see you on the flip side. Help keep horror alive and do it one movie at a time, one review at a time. Till next time. Peace.